Jimmy Greenwood. I live in the city of Moore, Oklahoma.
I was born in the state of Delaware in a little town called Brentford.
Well, I was the youngest of four and had a brother older than I am and two older sisters. And I was born here in Oklahoma City. Spent my life in Oklahoma City.
My name's Herschel Burns, and I was born in Oklahoma City, raised in Oklahoma City. I think I spent 1 year in Arizona. My dad worked in copper mine during the Depression, but spent all my time basically in Oklahoma City. Graduated from Capitol High School in 1950. In fact, that's when the Korean War broke out, as you will recall.
So we took a bus into LA from Camp Pendleton, and walking down the street, and I saw a headline in a newspaper where South Korea had been invaded by North Korea. And when I read that, my heart sunk, because I figured I'm not going home, not going back to Hawaii. We'd go straight from here to Korea. I wanted that to happen, but I wanted to go home first, because I had a wife and a pregnant wife and a 2-year-old daughter back in Hawaii. Well, that's the way it worked. They did send us home, and later they mobilized us, and my dreams came true.
Well, I was just the right draft age, so I knew I was going to get drafted. But, you know, during World War II, all us kids played Army during World War II. My heroes was in World War II. So I really I knew I was going to go, and so I had decided I'd just go to the Army.
Well, now, the war broke out on 25th June, and of course we heard about it. You know, they didn't have very many television sets, but it was on the radio and their newspaper. And that's all. I didn't even consider it, because I'd never heard of Korea before. And when we went to the reserve unit, nothing was said. And about the 1st of July is when I found out that we were going to be activated. But they didn't tell us when.
We got all of our training at Camp Pendleton, about 2 weeks. And it was very interesting. I was a corporal squad leader in the 60 Mortars, and I had one man in my squad that had ever been to Marine Corps boot camp. All the rest were reserves. The regulars tried to make fun. Didn't work, because I was reserve too. And it ended up that those mortarmen reserves, no boot camp, turned out to be excellent Marines.
I figured the reason why I went to combat training, I figured it'd be over when I got up before I could finish. You know, a little country like that, you know, and but we got surprised.
We shipped from New Orleans, and we got about halfway across the Pacific, and we had a soldier come down spinal meningitis, so we had to turn the ship around, come back to San Diego. Back then, you know, we didn't have helicopters come out and pick them up. So we went back to San Diego, and they took him off the ship, and then we went back across. So normally it takes 15 days, but we was on the ship 30 days.
Got to Japan, spent roughly 20 days, I recall, and then we got aboard reloaded our unit aboard LST, flat bottom ship, and we sailed for Korea. Didn't tell us where we were going in Korea until we got at sea. Said we was going to land 180 miles behind enemy lines. You know, at that time our troops were backed up to Pusan perimeter.
I landed there after that ride. Why, this guy told us that I want you guys keep your head down. Says the Gemini didn't blow it off. Well, that was my first introduction. We were getting pretty close.
You're always on guard. Wherever you are, you're always on guard. You always carry your weapon. And even if you're way back in the area, you still have a guard, because you don't know about any guerrillas coming in to harm you.
To the 38th parallel, small town Uijeongbu, which is on the parallel. We had maybe a couple days up there with no fighting, but might as well be, because your nerves are on edge. You don't know who's a friendly and who's not a friendly.
When I went to Korea, we was aboard ship, and I weighed 202 pounds, which I thought was pretty good because we had trained a lot. 45 days later, I weighed 142.
We replaced the first Cavalry. We replaced them, and we took their positions on the front lines. And that was on Christmas Day, actually, when we took our positions in '51. And it was bitterly cold.
Yeah, I carried the 3.5 rocket, and they called my position safe. But I was still involved in the assaults and in the action, and that's something that your combat veteran don't want to remember, because there's things that happen that you don't want to talk about, and it's very violent. And I would say 90% of the battles that we were in, that I was in, happened at night. Seemed like the Chinese or the Koreans like to attack at night. And you have your guards, and they'll hear a whistle, or they may hear a trumpet, and that's when you wake everybody up, because they're coming out of the dark at you by the hundreds. And then they shoot what they call illumination shells. They go up in the air and they burst and light up the area. They're like ants attacking you. And it's pretty violent.
It's not like you see in the movies. You don't get the same feeling as they try to show in the movies. You are not scared to death. You're not overcome with fear. You're not happy. You're not looking forward to the next moment, but you're not scared of the next moment. You have a job to do. And all your energy, concentration is in performing that job to the best of your ability, to kill as many of them suckers as you can and go on to the next job.
The Chinese had been instructed by our prisoners we had taken. They had been instructed to annihilate the 1st Marine Division if they could, and they certainly tried. Then that would indeed destroy the morale of the United Nations forces that were there in Korea. So we were fortunate that we survived. And the first time in Marine Corps history we had to retreat. It was about a 70 or 78 mile retreat down that one road. But we were successful, we were lucky, we were fortunate. We were able to bring out most of our dead, of course all of our wounded, and they flew out some of the wounded before they lost the airfield and vacated it. But I did see dead bodies that were tied to artillery pieces, our artillery pieces, as we retreated. And it's a pretty gruesome sight, and it was pretty bad. They stacked them on the back of trucks, the dead bodies and so forth. But the Marine Corps is quite proud of the fact that they do indeed try their best to retrieve all their wounded and dead.
There was a lot of the Chinese that didn't know why they were there. And a lot of them didn't have weapons. They fought, they tried to win by numbers. and they would send 1,000 people against 250. And out of the 1,000 people, there'd probably be 500 of them without weapons. And they'd pick up weapons in a battlefield.
Some of the Chinese prisoners we took said thought they were in China fighting us. They thought we were in China invading their country.
Took us 22 days to get home and took 11 to get there. And the 22 days, I believe, was what I needed, because we didn't do anything but relax and joke and talk and, you know, happy because you're going home and everything. So I think it was good for the soul and the psyche. You know, you got rid of all that stuff.
Yeah, it was a great feeling to get home. I thought I was going to surprise the wife and family and all, but we arrived by 8 o'clock in the morning here in Oklahoma City, the train station, but they were all there. Church folks were there, the pastor of the church was there, it was a Sunday morning, as I recall. And like I said, prior to church time, I'm sure. But there was, I'm sure, 30 or 40 people there, which I was real surprised. But
I would see people, and they'd say, "Where you been?" I said, "Korea." I said, "Where's that?" Now that's the attitude that a lot of the people we had. Of course, a lot of people was aware of the war, and a lot of them read about it and heard about it and knew what was going on. But there were still people that didn't have a clue.
I was glad to fight for my country. We did stop communist aggression at that point. As far as we were concerned, we won that war. Our object was to stop aggression, stop the communists, and we did. And some people say it was just a truce. It was. And they started 30th parallel, and today it's still at the 30th parallel. But I think it's South Korea's hope someday to reunite all of Korea, North and South, just to one Korea. It may not happen in my lifetime, but I think it will happen in time.
To me, I was proud to serve, you know, and of course I was young, we was all young at the time. It was quite an experience that I would cherish the rest of my life. Yes.
What does being an American mean to you?
Being American, well, it's just the greatest country in the world, and to me, it's just fantastic.
What does being an American mean to you?
Being American, one of the luckiest people in the world. Also, it makes me one of the proudest people in the world, and I don't think that pride is misplaced. Just being an American makes me even prouder than being a Marine.
I wouldn't take $1 million for my experience that I encountered in Korea, but I wouldn't give a nickel to go through it again. I don't think I might be so lucky next time.